You drinking about Tay smoking weed.
He don't smoke weed.
He has.
Did he ever smoke in front of you? Exactly.
But I smelled it.
He does edibles, baby.
Edibles.
Stop saying that on live. He don't smoke weed.
I'm telling y'all the truth.
No, you're not.
Edible weed. So
Tay don't smoke weed. He doesn't put weed to his mouth and smoke it. That's not what Tay does. He will do a weed edible. There's a difference. Everybody's saying, where is Tay?
What's the difference?
Where is he?
he ain't working. He ain't here.
He's working.
He's not working. He ain't here. We ain't know specifically if he's working or not. Did he text you?
Yes.
No. Show me the text.
Oh my
Show
God.
me the text.
He just sent me a video yesterday, baby. Me and Tay talk all the time.
It's only for y'all. She's lying. Lying.
Megan, do you want me to show you the text?
Show me.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Like all the time.
That was yesterday, not today.
We don't.
I thought you were talking about you talk to him every day.
No, you don't always have to.
You raping, about you doing panties out the camera.
Okay, so I don't want to be a judgmental person, but I'm going to judge, right? Because that's what we do. You're going to have some kind of judgment. So I think she probably is a great mother, does great with the children. You know, shout out. It's not easy being a mother. So I want to make that very, very plain and clear first and foremost. My own thing is, I feel like we're raising up the very men that we don't like, right? We're raising up the very men that we don't like. He is way too close relationally to her, and she's releasing information that should only be for adults. And even at that, there has to be a clear demarcation between a child and the parent. One thing our parents always say to us is, I'm not your friend. It used to annoy a lot of us as black children. We know when your parents say, I'm not your friend, don't talk to me like I'm your friend. And the reason why that is because there needs to be a clear demarcation between the child and the parent, so that the child can also, number one, feel emotionally, mentally, and physically safe. The moment that son becomes a co-equal at a very young age, what tends to happen is that a weight is then put on his shoulders. He, as a child, begins to take on the fact that he is responsible for his mother. He's not. The mother is responsible for him. What that does is induce people-pleasing behaviors. It induces resentment. It induces passive-aggressive behaviors. It induces the child to put aside their feelings because they're trying to supplicate yours. The child should not be in an adult position before it's time, and it should not be caring for the parent before it's time. And so when they're having this whole conversation and on the live, and he's talking about business that he shouldn't be talking about, the first thing my mother would have done is said, if you talk again, I will slap you. This is adult business. You don't ever open your mouth and start talking. And you have to let children know, because they need boundaries. The moment they don't have boundaries is the moment they become entitled. It's a moment that they feel fear. And out of that fear usually births control. And so it might not be seen in your relationship, but when they get into other relationships wise, they start to elicit control in their relationship because they are so used to fear, because they had no boundaries. Or better yet, they have no fears at all. And then they end up doing crazy stuff, right? So it's important that kids have that boundary. Number two, I think the thing that's really key is that he's a young boy. He's up in women's business, and I don't need him to be there. He's out here snitching. I don't need him to do that. He's out here gossiping. I don't need him to do that. What you feel like you see, I need you to, hey, shut your mouth now. You don't talk on adults' business. Keep quiet right now. When you're amongst adults, you don't do those things. Don't start gossiping and start releasing information about people's business. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Of course, by all means, tell me about school. Tell me about your life. Tell me about what girl you're talking to, what boy you're talking to. Of course, tell me the things about your life. But don't you ever start getting into adults' business. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Now, unless you're in danger, unless Tay has done something to you that you don't like, or that is emotionally, physically unsafe to you, You don't talk about what he's doing, right? And what we do. That we don't have that conversation. We can be open, but there must be some level of boundary. Okay. Don't give that child adult rights. Don't become that child's friend. The child doesn't need a friend, it needs a parent. Okay, especially young boys. I'm gonna say this too. Where's Amarian? We need Amarian now. Take that boy from April. You need him full time. I'm gonna tell you honest truth. Listen, I think single mothers do a great job, but I need the fathers that are in these children's life. I need you to take control, because it gets to a point where the child gets to a certain age, their mouth, their behaviors, they need a father figure. They need strong discipline, and usually, strong discipline oftentimes coming from the father figure, right? Because you can't fight him because you know you can't win. But with your mom, you can physically overpower. And men oftentimes are boys, they are taught through society and through their experiences that we actually have a level of entitlement when it comes to women due to our patriarchy, but also because of our physical strength. So you must understand that this young boy respects authority because the person who's in authority has a strong hand, not physically, but a strong hand in terms of you can't tell me and do whatever you want to do. In this household, I rule. I need that little, hey, what are you doing? The young boy is reading tones and energy. He will not, but when you tell him, hey, like you should be talking about this, no, it needs a strong, firm tone. That's why some women are really good at discipline, because they get the tone right. They're not afraid of upsetting a young child because they realize that they, as a parent, are the sole reason why that child needs to be able to hear authority, and it's through what they're doing and their own behavior. I don't like what's happening here with Apryl and this and Mega. I don't think it's gonna work long term for this young man. You talk about sassy guys. You talk about passive aggressive guys, they're built in this way. Not just some single mothers. I myself was a sassy, passive aggressive man. I had a father in my life. The difference was I drew closer to my father because I was rejecting his harsh love. I also needed a bit more emotional care from him. So I drew more to my mom's side, not knowing that actually what happened is as I grew up, I realized I needed more of that. I need more of that discipline. I needed more of that firm hand. I needed more of that, hey, come here. I needed more of that. And I did get a lot of it. I'm just saying that I realized that when I went into relationships, I was a sassy, passive aggressive, hurt, wounded individual who, of course, I wanted to love and everything, but the wounds that I carried, when you hurt me, you're going to get sassy. You're going to get silent treatment. You're going to get emotional responses that are not regulated. You're going to get insecure response. You're going to get a fearful, avoidant attachment style response. That don't make healthy relationships. And now I got to go and do work to overcome that. You see what I'm saying to you? So if you put this young boy in a place where he's hearing all your business and you're talking to him as a friend, not as a son, and not put him in his place, he's gonna have an entitlement. And the difficulty is it's not gonna be it might not be to you. You might never see this behavior, but to another woman, she gonna end up dealing with a mama's boy. Okay, and I don't want to see that. Now it's not guaranteed. It's just saying, right? So we need Amarian right now. Take your son, take him for 5 to 6 days in a week. You let him live with you for a few years. Let him get that strong discipline in him now, because a father would have. If Amarian's there, I don't think you're going to allow him to start talking about somebody else's business. And hey, this is an adult's conversation. You don't get involved. There are some things that need a clear demarcation. Okay, the very men that women complain about, this is how they're raised. They're raised as friends. Now, will she do the same thing for her daughter? Maybe not. Maybe not. But sons seem to get this pass from women, because actually what they're really doing is they are seeking their validation from these sons. I'm not saying that's Apryl. Listen to me very carefully. I'm not saying this is Apryl, but I'm saying what can happen is women can seek validation and emotional validation and being seen and heard, and they get that from their sons because their sons have become their surrogate husbands. So what happens now, what the son does, she almost feels validated that a man has seen her and is her protector now. And the problem with that is that unfortunately sometimes that breeds the sassy, the passive aggressive, the resentful type of man that doesn't necessarily hate women, but he doesn't realize he's wounded by a woman, and therefore how he treats a woman is wrong, and it is not in alignment with what we call healthy, true love. Don't make him feel grown before his time. Don't put that weight on a child to emotionally regulate you, that when you need help, you're asking him to help. Look, I remember one time I see my mom dealing with something, and I was like, Mom, just tell me, I'll help, or whatever. My mom said, hey, this is adult business. Stick your nose elsewhere. I was really sad about it. I wanted to really help. But the reality is, actually, she saved me a lot there. I should not be in certain business. There's certain things I shouldn't be privy to. There's certain things, because as a child internalizes what they're hearing. So when they start seeing parents fighting, a child internalizes it as, I'm the problem. So if you're telling that child information before it's time and you're not letting that child know, you are the child. You follow my lead. Don't worry about that business. I'm going to handle that. Don't worry about that. If you don't let that child know, he or she internalizes that. That's how you get the sassy. That's how you get the passive aggressive. That's how you get the men that don't know how to handle their business. That's the men who don't want to provide but want to be hobosexual, okay, no home, and then they want to live with you and don't want to work, no jobs. These are the men that are born. Now, I'm sure that man probably will never do that because he's going to have a good education. She's going to put him through his paces. But it's not about just that. It's a little other behaviors too within that of the relationship, right? So make sure you like, share, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts as well. But I don't like that. You know what I mean? Not again. I think she's a great mother. I'm not saying that I'm not questioning her motherhood in terms of being great or not. I'm saying this is the time for Amarin to step in. We need a father figure, masculine energy to step in and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. We ain't going to flow like this no more. Help us get to 100K. Subscribe